Is U.S. military involvement in Iran justified biblically and morally? So Israel attacks Iran, and then the United States of America comes in because we're the 400-pound gorilla on planet Earth. And what happened tragically, let's say with the abandoning of Afghanistan with a shameful withdrawal that just left massive amounts of military weaponry behind and just spit on the graves, in my opinion, of brave men and women who sacrificed, some of whom paid the ultimate sacrifice and gave their life. Then just to abandon Afghanistan and to leave to enemy combatants all of the weaponry, it was shameful. It is inexcusable and intolerable. But what it also did, it told the entire world the United States of America is now weak, compromised. We now know was being run by people of complete incompetence and mental incoherence. And the result is that the United States of America was just sort of laughed at, disrespected and dishonored, no longer a real fearful world power. Well, all that changed today. My guess is if you're in North Korea working on your nuclear weapons, you probably had to go out and buy some adult diapers today because you filled your shorts. If you're a terrorist somewhere trying to cook up a plan against America, you're probably really rethinking those plans. Today, the United States of America showed peace through strength. And let me say this. I want to be careful with this because when I talk about the Lord Jesus, I don't want to just co-opt him for political purposes. Above my love of nation is my allegiance to Jesus Christ as King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and my highest allegiance and authority as a Christian and Bible-believing pastor is to Jesus Christ. However, Jesus demonstrates peace through strength. I'll get into a moment the war that we are now in against Iran and whether or not it qualifies. But let me just say, Jesus brings peace through strength. How do I know this? When he returns, he will come in glory, not humility. He will come as a lion, not a lamb. Revelation says he will come on a white horse, and he will come as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That he will slay the nations with a sharp sword that proceeds from his mouth. That the blood of his enemies will rise in the streets to the height of a bit in a horse's mouth. When Jesus returns, it's going to be the war to end all wars. He's coming back as a soldier. He's coming back to slay enemies. He's coming back to subdue nations. He is coming back to put Satan and demons in the war that began in heaven and spilled over to the earth to an end once and for all. After that comes what the Bible calls shalom. It's peace and prosperity. It's the world as God intended it before sin and sinners and demons destroyed it and marred it and wrecked it. If you believe in the second coming of Jesus Christ, if you believe in heaven and hell, if you believe in the judgment of the living and the dead, which I do 1,000%, then you have to believe that peace comes through strength, and peace comes after strength has done what it needs to do. That being said, particularly after World War I and II, there was a debate, what constitutes on the earth, before Jesus comes, as a just war? Meaning, it's morally sound and acceptable. Historically, there are 7 criteria for just war. Number 1, legitimate authority. Mobs like those in Portland, Seattle, and LA who are taking to the streets and assaulting civilians and throwing bricks and large stones on cinder blocks, I'm trying to say, on cop cars, those kinds of mobs, that's an insurrection. That is not a legitimate authority. These are not people that are in the military or the police force. They have no granted rightful authority. They are terrorizing. And this would include anarchists and those who just seek to do disruption and violence and harm. So is it a legitimate authority? Well, The commander-in-chief of the United States of America, the greatest military power in the history of the world, has legitimate authority. Number two, defensive, not offensive. And so in this case, the nation of Iran has been attacking the U.S. and its allies, particularly Israel, especially under the leadership of Khomeini, for almost three dozen years. Again, as I said, this includes the Houthi, Hezbollah, and Hamas. If you want to just Google it and say, what did Hamas do? What has Hezbollah done? And what have the Houthis done? You're going to see a lot of evil and terrorizing. Therefore, to attack Iran, to stop the terrorizing, I would make the argument that is a defensive, not offensive move. In addition, Iran is trying to make nuclear weapons. Once you make a nuke, you are unstoppable and can do the unthinkable. So to defend Israel, America, death to Israel, death to America is the chant. To stop the nuclear production of potential warheads, I would say that is defensive, not offensive. You are stopping them before they can destroy you. This would be like there's a police officer pulls a gun on a criminal, and the criminal reaches for their gun, and so the police officer shoots them. I would say that is defensive. And some would say, well, the cop had no right to shoot. He hadn't been shot. No, he was just in the process of being shot. And so what he did was defensive to defend himself. I believe that is what happened today. Number three, noble cause. Will more lives be saved than sacrificed? And so what we're seeing with Israel and the United States of America is not an attack on civilian populations. It's a strategic removing of political leaders, ballistic missiles, military outposts, and nuclear facilities. Is it a noble cause to keep a demonic global jihadist regime hell-bent on martyrdom and ruling the world through jihadist force? Is it a noble cause to keep them from having nuclear weapons? Yes. Number four, proportional force. The response must be commensurate to the attack. So, well, I would say actually we qualify for this proportional force because if they're going to have nuclear weapons, dropping bombs on facilities, especially those that are hundreds of feet under the earth, so that they can't make more bombs to destroy people, that is proportional force. If they're trying to make nuclear weapons, that would mean anything, according to just war theory, anything up to a nuclear weapon would be proportional force. We're not using nuclear weapons, and so we fall within the safeguards of just war. Number five, soldiers, not civilians, targeted. Absolutely. The Israeli army has been targeting soldiers, not civilians. Conversely, when Iran sent Hamas into Israel, they targeted civilians. Even this week, Iran started bombing places like hospitals in Israel. Not just civilians, but the most vulnerable civilians. And so what is happening is the eradication of military leaders and military outposts. Number six, more lives preserved than taken. For sure. You kill some of the military leaders that are demonic jihadists and they don't get nuclear weapons, yeah, you're going to take out a lot more bad guys and you're going to save a lot more innocents. And number seven, last resort. Yeah. We've been trying to get Iran, the United States of America, and Israel have, to the negotiating table for decades. President Trump recently told Iran, you have 60 days to come to the table and negotiate a deal. They did not. On his birthday, the 61st day, he gave himself quite a present when he got to announce that Israel had attacked and largely incapacitated the military forces in Iran, securing the skies and taking out strategic targets for ballistic missiles, and now the U.S. jumping in to eradicate potential nuclear weapons. Is this a last resort? Yeah. You don't negotiate with terrorists. Iran is a bunch of terrorists. They've been invited to the table for a long time. Today, they had 6 massive bombs dropped on them, and they are being told there's still time to negotiate. There's still time to negotiate. Or things are going to get worse. As a Bible teaching pastor, 30 years in the pulpit, largely preaching through the Bible verse by verse, yes, I believe according to just war theory and the philosophers who constructed it, that yes, today this meets the criteria of just war biblically and morally. And make no mistake, keep it real simple. Should terrorists have nuclear weapons? Yes or no? There's your answer.